We're about to be a little merciless on this one, and that's the best pun I can think of to start this. But,
No
oh man.
Mercy is exactly what this pay-per-view deserves.
Oh man, yeah. You don't say. You don't say. We were just like before I hit the record button, Tomas says, "Oh, I'm ready to roast this 2-match show."
Yeah.
Even though, like, I actually really like this pay-per-view. I don't know about you, but
I didn't hate it, but there was a lot of underwhelming matches on this show. And fun fact, No Mercy 2002 was the very first pay-per-view I watched live. I
there
had
you go.
my goddad was really into wrestling, and when he heard I got into it, he wanted to order this pay-per-view for the main event, that fantastic main event. And I remember going over and being so excited. And there was a lot of other kids at that party too. Let's just say a lot of them weren't real fans, because halfway through the show they were off and playing. No, I was front and center, my eyes glued to that TV from start to finish.
There you go. Yeah, and I unfortunately did not watch this pay-per-view live back in 2002, but I do have a copy of the DVD somewhere in my room, and I watched that thing a lot. I don't know what it was. I just like the flow of this show. I like the match order specifically. I like how it always alternated between Raw and SmackDown. As you get a Raw match, and then next thing
wish they would start doing that again.
Yeah. No, it's a great pattern and a great flow to the show, and I actually think it's one of the more underrated pay-per-views of 2002. But obviously,
and it also goes to show, when WWE would give an even amount of matches to both brands. It's not like later down the line. Like, I can recall a couple of pay-per-views where there'll be 6 Raw matches and 2 SmackDown matches. Gee, I wonder what's their favorite brand.
I wonder, yeah. And yeah, but this was, the build to this show is obviously built around Halloween, and I don't know how we're already at the Halloween show in this retrospective. As you all know, we are looking at every single 2002 pay-per-view, and it looks like we're going into 2003 from the looks of it, and you guys are enjoying them so much. But I'm having a lot of fun doing it with my co-host Tomas here. If you guys are enjoying this, if you guys are new to this channel, definitely subscribe to it down below as hard as you possibly can. Hit that big old button down there. It's right in front of you, and you can celebrate if you want by hitting that thumbs up button as well. That would be awesome. And
let me tell everyone right now, we love doing this retrospective. We love looking at these old pay-per-views, and we are going to keep doing it regardless of what the Peacock tries to hold us. The Peacock will not hold us down. The Peacock is trying to hold us down right now by not having all the pay-per-views on there, and we say we don't care what the Peacock says. We're going to keep doing it.
Yep. Speaking of the Peacock, it actually does have Survivor Series 2002 on there, so good news for us for next month. But that's next month. We're looking at No Mercy 2002, which had the awesome Pete Rose vignettes. I don't know if you saw those commercials in the build to this, but it was a bunch of kids, because it's Halloween. They're dressed up as a bunch of random WWE superstars, and they're all going to Pete Rose's house, and they're on his porch, and he's roasting every single one of them. And you have thunder clapping in the background, and eventually it goes to the real Kane, because he has a history with Pete Rose, nails him with the choke slam. They cut to the, WWE No Mercy, October 20th, live on pay-per-view. And then you see just the kids ransacking Pete Rose's house as, he just lays there.
I do remember those commercials. And that's another thing I miss from WWE, is those classic pay-per-view commercials like that. I remember, wasn't there a kid dressed like The Rock, and there was a kid dressed as Stone Cold Steve Austin?
There was.
And it just, I don't know why, it automatically made me think of the Dr. Shelby segment in 2012, where Kane says, "And I have an unhealthy obsession with torturing Pete Rose." He really did. He tombstoned this man twice at WrestleMania. He chokeslammed him in this commercial. And then even recently, as I think 2009 or 2010, when Pete Rose guest hosted Monday Night Raw, Kane went out of his way to come from SmackDown to Raw just to torture Pete Rose again.
Man, Kane wishes that Pete Rose came onto this show and made his match at least more entertaining. Not to get too ahead of myself, but anyway, we do cut to not just a opening video package first off, no opening pyro, but you see the Undertaker sitting backstage in the locker room, and he's got his cast on his hand, and we'll talk about the cast once we get to that. But in walks Kane again, and he sits right next to Taker. And there was a very simple but funny little quote that Kane asks him, and he says, "So, how was your week?" I
The
don't know
Brothers of
why.
Destruction were definitely busy around that time, both of them being in the main event picture of their respective brand. But in between all of the Kane shenanigans going on Raw, and in between Brock Lesnar torturing Undertaker and bringing one of his ex-girlfriends into the fold, which we'll definitely talk about, the Brothers of Destruction definitely had an interesting week leading up to this pay-per-view.
They sure did. They sure did. But yeah, so we get the video package and we open up with a World Tag Team Championship match. Chris Jericho and Christian, not Lance Storm and Christian. They the Un-Americans all went their own separate ways for some ungodly reason after Unforgiven. But it is the start of a great partnership and an underrated partnership in Jericho and Christian. They're the champions going up against Tomas's favorite random tag team, Booker T and Goldust.
The first thing I want to say about this match is, yes, you hit the nail right on the head. Jericho and Christian were probably the most underrated team for both of them. No one really talks about Jericho and Christian, but as a kid, I remember Jericho and Christian being everyone talks about they grew up with Edge and Christian. I didn't. I grew up with this little random tag team for a little bit with Jericho and Christian.
Yep.
And I feel like they both just are very similar in their attitudes around this time. They're both snarky asshole Canadians that only care about themselves. So they kind of fit together like a glove. And I've sung the praises of Booker T and Goldust. And these are just two random teams, but four very solid wrestlers around this time. Very solid. And it showed in this match. I cannot get over the athleticism of Booker T because he was all over in this match. He was just wrestling smooth as butter. I just remember this great transition where him and Jericho are just like throwing each other against the ropes. Booker T hits a big knee lift and then he smoothly transitions into that where he twists the arm around and then hits him with the axe kick. WWE had a star in Booker T in 2002, and I don't understand for the life of me why they never capitalized on him.
Yes, 2002 to early-ish 2004, I feel was peak Booker T. He was too damn good, too damn over with the crowd. That actually leads me into my first little nitpick in this match, because like you said, these are all four solid workers, but I feel like this match was more built around Chris Jericho versus Booker T one-on-one. Because they do show a little like clip from the Raw Roulette show, which is a really fun show to look back on. Jericho, after Booker T's cage match, just randomly attacks him and leaves Booker in a bloody heap. And Booker the story is Booker wants to get at Jericho and he wants no part of him to start the match. Booker wants to start with Jericho and he immediately tags Christian in.
I feel like they just wanted to have the tag team titles on the line just for the sake of having the tag team titles on the line. And I want to talk about that Raw Roulette match real quick. Correct me if I'm wrong. Did Booker T face Rodney Mack in that steel cage match?
No. It was the Big Show.
Was it? It was Big Show. Okay. Because I don't know. I thought I saw Rodney Mack in that cage. And I was like, Rodney Mack, that is one wrestler nobody talks about. And I don't think we're ever going to talk about him on this retrospective because I don't think he ever wrestled a pay-per-view.
I think he must have somewhere, but we'll see. I don't think we're at that point yet. But I mean, you want to talk about Booker T being the hot babyface at this time? Let's talk about Goldust for a second, because he was over with Booker T, and he was always, I don't know about you, but he was always the heat guy in these tag matches, and he was really good at it.
Booker and Goldust they were just so over with the crowd, and my biggest regret or the biggest missed opportunity is that they didn't let these guys hold the tag team titles longer than they did. I feel like this team just had a short cup of coffee with the titles. They continued to team for a little bit, but I don't remember exactly when it was, but I do remember Booker and Goldust kind of parting ways in a segment backstage. And that really made me sad because, again, this team was just so surprisingly over. And it was just, the combination of the fans just really liking these two very solid workers. And I don't know, I feel like Dustin Rhodes has always just had a knack for getting the crowd behind him no matter what. When he was a babyface, he could get the crowd behind him. He always had that, not babyface sympathy, but he was, again, just able to, we talk about this and we talk about when he came back in 2013 and the whole thing with Cody Rhodes and the Shield. You talk about that one match where he fought Bray Wyatt a couple years ago, and he said, no face paint. I'm going out there as Dustin because I need to prove something to myself. I was in the crowd for that match.
Same. We were sitting together. Remember that?
Goldust was so hot. And this was like, what, 2018 Goldust? No, 2017 Goldust that a lot of people didn't even realize he was still with the company. And he was over like he was going to win the world title.
Right? Oh, yeah. That was great. Great storytelling. But this match had a lot of great storytelling. To your point, the crowd was hot for this, which, I mean, it's the opener. It should be a hot crowd regardless. They should be like, oh, we're excited to see wrestling right now. The match is going along fine. You get a lot of really good near falls. Walls of Jericho on Goldust broken up by Booker T. Booker hits a scissors kick on Jericho. Go ahead.
Before we get to that spot, and I know we're about to talk about that spot.
Yeah.
I love how Shattered Dreams was one of Goldust's signature moves.
Yes.
But it's an illegal maneuver.
It is.
Kick to the nether regions. So Goldust had to always incorporate a way for the referee to not see that move. And this time it was just straight up, the referee was checking on Christian. And it's just like, you're not about to see what's happening. Never mind about Christian.
It was no, he was checking on Jericho because I remember Goldust hit it on Christian, and it was like the third.
That's right. Goldust.
It was like the third straight pay-per-view that Goldust hit a Shattered Dreams on Christian. You want to talk about people that have an affinity for torturing other people? Like
I always loved the Shattered Dreams, but looking at it as an adult, I was like, that's an illegal maneuver.
It is.
How did Goldust get away with having that as one of his signatures?
It always got a huge pop, too.
It did. I remember in the house show I went to, Goldust was actually able to connect Shattered Dreams on Big Show, and the crowd went wild for that.
Oh, man. Yeah. That's quite the feat.
So,
but, yeah, you want to talk about this spot?
Well, I was going to say, you're going to get to that spot, so go for it.
Yeah, so sadly, the match is kind of infamous for some minor technical hiccups. Chris Jericho goes for either a lion salt or that weird springboard dropkick that he does to knock someone off the apron to the outside. He's trying for one of those moves. So point being, he bounces off the second rope and it fucking breaks. And Jericho completely lands flat on his back. And the crowd doesn't really know how to react. But I will say props to all four guys for improvising around that.
And I will say, okay, first of all, thank God Chris Jericho didn't get hurt because he easily could have wrecked his shit on that second rope. But
could have easily gotten a concussion from that.
I don't remember that spot as a kid, but every time I watch it, I laugh uncontrollably because nobody sees it coming. That would never happen today. WWE's ring crew is just so advanced nowadays that would never happen again. And also if that happened today, there would be lawsuits up the ass. But it was just so unexpected. And again, all four guys improvised like nothing happened. So props to all of them. They kept going.
It was great. Yeah. Goldust was going for a pin somewhere and the ref was distracted, I think, with the rope. They had introduced one of the tag belts, the heels, at one point. And Jericho hits Goldust with a bulldog face first onto the tag title belt. Wasn't supposed to hit this. It was probably most likely supposed to be a lion salt, but Jericho somehow makes it up to the top rope with just the top and bottom rope still intact. And he hits a picture-perfect moonsault and pins if I can talk, pins Goldust to retain the tag team titles.
I also respect I have such admiration for Jericho for being so dedicated to the finish. Because he could have easily just hit the bulldog on the belt or could have went for that weird face buster he used to use. No, he knew he was going to finish the match with the lion salt.
That was a skull-crushing finale that he hit.
What did I say?
No, it was like the weird face buster thing.
Well, I think it was adopted from Jeff Jarrett's stroke. But regardless, I hated that move. But Jericho said, I'm finishing this match with the lion salt. So, God damn it, I'm going to finish the match with the lion salt.
Not exactly a lion salt, just a traditional moonsault.
Yeah.
But
I give the match 2 3/4 stars. That extra quarter goes for the improvising at the end of the match. I have to give credit.
I gave the match 3. I'll see your 2 3/4 and raise it to 3. Yeah, definitely.
Oh yeah,
extra credit points to the improv in the match.
Yeah.
The guys are professional.
Because if anyone heard my Fastlane rant, yes, shit happens in the ring, but the ability to adapt and improvise, I respect that, because they could have, let that affect the finish, but they didn't. Like, they kept wrestling like nothing happened.
Because again, it is a live performance as well, so you got to have that ability. Oh boy, do you want to take this next segment, Tomas?
Yeah, sure.
Oh boy.
I was ready to shit all over this, but this story actually has a happy ending for me. Not that kind of happy ending, get your mind out of the gutter. We are unfortunately in the midst of this very awkward and terrible rivalry between one Torrie Wilson and one Dawn Marie. Let me get this out of the way right now. I respect these ladies so much. I respect Dawn Marie for her work in ECW. We all saw Torrie Wilson just got inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame in 2019.
A great speech,
and her speech, her speech was so motivational that all of my initial thoughts about Wilson kind of turned at 180. And I respect the hell out of this woman for, coming into a business where she, quote unquote, didn't belong. And she really made it work for herself. But unfortunately, we're in this rivalry where Dawn Marie is trying to have an affair with Torrie's father.
Oh yeah, and you want to bury the lead right there. Yeah, God, may Al Wilson rest in peace. I'm sure he was nice as nice can be, but before the match,
I'm sure he had a blast doing this too.
Oh, for sure. I think Torrie mentioned something like that in her Hall of Fame speech. Even I got to go back and rewatch it. Feel free to correct me down in the comments if I'm wrong, but. Oh, this poor guy. He is interviewed before this match by the one and only Funaki. And Funaki is trying to get...
#1 announcer.
Great gimmick, an underrated gimmick. But he's trying to get the deets out of Al Wilson and showing him various clips where he's obviously smitten with Dawn Marie. And he really doesn't say a damn thing. He tries to dance around it until he says, and I quote, it's not a direct quote, but he says, "Listen to me very carefully. I did not have sexual relations with that woman." And then he just leaves. He leaves. And then it cuts to the match.
I groaned at that. The fans popped for it. 2002 was a weird time. I know it's relevant, but here's the thing. In 2021, you drop a political or a pop culture reference, we're going to groan. In 2002, apparently it gets over.
Yeah.
But props to Funaki, though, for being funny in this segment, because he does ask Al the question that we all want to know is, why are you wearing your clothes in the shower? And then,
oh man,
so
of course,
Funaki is a national treasure. I love the SmackDown's #1 announcer gimmick, because he really is SmackDown's #1 announcer, and no one could ever take that away from him.
And mind you, because the rope broke in the opener, this interview ran way longer than it should have. So I feel like they were just killing time to fix the rope. But anywho,
so props to Funaki for improvising too.
Yeah. The rest, I mean, bless these women. I didn't really like this match. I mean, it was the work was kind of sloppy for my liking. But
again, Marie and Torrie are not wrestlers per se. Marie is more known for her general manager work in ECW with people with the likes of Tommy Dreamer and Rhino and
Lance Storm.
The Impact players. The Impact players with Storm and Credible. And she's definitely known for taking some nasty bumps in ECW. I remember her getting gored through tables. I remember her taking crazy table bumps. So respect to her. Her as a wrestler herself, she definitely was there to be eye candy, unfortunately. This is 2002. The Raw has the women's title, which we'll talk about later in the night. SmackDown doesn't have a women's title, so unfortunately, SmackDown had, the lingerie contest,
the
and
bikini
the bikini
challenges.
pillow fights, So I will give Torrie and Dawn Marie credit in this match. It was definitely a lot more entertaining than I remember it being, except for that one spot. And they have to do the cat fight spot where they roll over the referee, and the referee acts like he likes it. And I will give Dawn Marie props for standing up and calling him like a disgusting piece of trash. Which I'm like,
she was so baffled.
Piece of trash.
Yeah,
and I'm just like, do your fucking job, ref.
And to make matters worse, that referee got the biggest pop of this entire match for that.
Which is just so gross. But I think Taz even said something on commentary like, that's disgusting. Taz is right.
Taz is right for once, yeah. But yeah, basically, there's a clunky slingshot into the buckles. Wrestling's not very good. Torrie does have a couple nice roll-up sequences here. And then she just wins with a swinging neck breaker. She pins Dawn Marie. It goes about, I was surprised they got like 7-8 minutes to work and tell a story, and credit to them for doing all they could. But
yeah, they get a star for effort.
Yeah. One star for effort. One star for effort. I mean, yeah, they worked hard.
Unfortunate.
Fine.
I'm not saying with some more work and time that Torrie Wilson and Dawn Marie couldn't put on a solid match. They're just boggled down by the women aren't given enough time. They're given a shitty angle. They're not, bogged down by all of that.
The only thing missing from this match and this angle were the Jerry Springer chants. I have no idea how you didn't get this in the year 2002. No idea.
Exactly.
So straight out of the Jerry Springer show.
It's not Torrie and Dawn's fault. It's, it was a shitty time for them. So thankfully, here we are in 2021. 2 black women are possibly going to main event one of the nights of WrestleMania for the SmackDown Women's Championship. Yep. Things get better, people.
Main event Banks
get better.
Main event Banks versus Belair is trending on Twitter right now. Next up, we get I believe this is a first time ever match, if I'm not mistaken. On paper, it seems like it could be pretty good. Rob Van Dam versus Ric Flair. If you guys remember, last month at Unforgiven, Van Dam was challenging Triple H, the only time he would ever do so egregiously for the World Heavyweight title. And this match that we're getting tonight is set up after Ric Flair cost Van Dam the match at Unforgiven. And there's a pre-match interview that Van Dam has with the coach, and it was super entertaining. He impersonates Ric Flair strutting around. I didn't write down exactly what he described himself as or the adjectives.
I can remember. He was the chair smashing.
He has to do the strike.
Frog splashing. Risk taking.
Risk taking.
Woo! Van terminating kind of guy.
Yin-yanging kind of dude.
Yeah. Yin-yanging. Dang it. I almost had the entire thing.
Oh, man.
But yeah, I
remember the yin-yanging specifically, but...
I would, just saying this right now, I would pay so much money, not for a match, just to watch RVD and Riddle have a conversation. I don't want to watch them wrestle. I don't want to see them shoot on each other. I just want to watch them have a conversation.
Yeah, don't have Riddle shoot on Katie Holmes or anything like that. Don't do that, please. Just have them in the backstage area interacting with each other. Don't do that.
Yeah, I would just love to see them have a conversation.
Yeah, but Rob Van Dam charges to the ring with a purpose, mauling Ric Flair before the bell. This was... I wanted this match to be better. I don't know what it was. Like, they didn't click as well as I would have liked.
On paper, you have WCW, legend Ric Flair versus ECW icon and RVD.
Mm-hmm.
And, this is kind of something, maybe if you were on the playground with your friends in 1998 or 1999 and you were throwing around who would you want to see fight each other, this is a match that could come up. But it was just your run-of-the-mill match.
Yeah, I will say one thing I really respect about this match is the ring psychology. Ric Flair is in here. He's working as a heel, finally, after a few months as a babyface, which I think really helps.
Also, can we say, the minute Ric Flair's music hit, you could definitely tell that Rick got his flair back. He just looked so much healthier. He looked so much more motivated. He's not this broken down, unmotivated person that he was in between, all of 2001 and a good amount of 2002. He, again, Rick got his flair back, and it was nice to see.
Oh, for sure. I really, really dug that. He had a huge bullseye on Rob Van Dam's left leg, softening it up for the figure 4. He was cheating continuously. I wrote down a specific quote from both JR and the King. JR says, Flair with a blatant thumb to the eye. And then King says, oh, that was an accident, I'm sure. King always defending the heels.
Lawler.
Always
God damn it, Lawler. Stop being entertaining because I'm going to talk shit about you later.
Yeah, always defending the heels. Take also to anybody watching this who wants to watch this on the network eventually, take a shot for every chop block in this match because there were a lot of them.
There was a lot,
a lot of them. Ric Flair eventually does get the figure 4 locked in the middle of the ring. Both roll to the ropes. Van Dam starts to make a comeback, a rare slip on a backslide in that little sequence. Flair puts him in the figure 4 again, and then Van Dam small package. There was a so Van Dam hits the Rolling Thunder, and this is what I'm talking about in terms of like the weird chemistry. Van Dam pins him, and then Flair puts his foot on the ropes like through Van Dam's body. Like it was the most awkward foot placement ever.
Yeah,
of a rope break.
It was just
I don't know.
Yeah, and then Rolling Thunder, 5-star frog splash. It was a run-of-the-mill match, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I give it, if I'm being generous, 2 stars, maybe 1.75 stars.
Yeah, I gave it 2.5. I gave it 2.5. I gave him extra points for the psychology and because Flair was working heel, but it was definitely a very generic wrestling match here, which sucks because these are WCW and ECW icons. So what can you do?
Yeah, I'll give it 2. Props to WWE also for following up on this because this was a pretty big, main event point last month.
Mm-hmm.
And you could have just dropped this and did it on Raw. So props to them for at least putting it on pay-per-view.
There you go. Bonus points there.
Also, I'm going to say right now, it's pretty windy in my area right now. So if I have some connection issues, let me know.
It's okay. It's okay. We're pre-recording.
For sure,
yeah. We're just sitting here.
Yeah, I just wanted to give you a heads up.
Yeah, of course. It's all good.
I was just giving a heads up. If I have any connection issues or if I cut off that's probably why.
Yeah, so before I have you introduce this next match, Tomas, we do have a very important segment backstage that I'd like to touch on because it will be integral for a few of these pods we have coming up later on. The Big Show is backstage talking to Stephanie, and he's a frustrated Big Show because Eric Bischoff is not using him on Raw. Bischoff approaches, he wants to know what's up, and Show does a work shoot. He tells him, listen, I've been underutilized on Raw. I'm a giant. I should be in the main events. I haven't been on pay-per-view since July, I think is what he said. He's very angry. And, he ended up being traded to SmackDown just to kind of bury the lead right there. Later on that week, he would show up and put The Undertaker on the shelf. So Big Show is a name to watch on these next few retro that we're doing.
Big, no pun intended, big turning point in Show's career was that promo right there. I think at that point, Big Show was finally out of the doghouse. He had finally gotten his act together. And how symbolic was it that Big Show cut this promo on Eric Bischoff, the very man that brought Big Show into WCW all those years ago. So he could kind of blame some of that downfall on Bischoff himself.
Comes full circle.
He was a star in WCW. He comes to WWE. And, it was, everyone knows the story of Big Show. He had a terrible attitude. So WWE put him in the doghouse. And they didn't put him in the doghouse for a few months. They put him there for 4 years.
Yes.
So Big Show really had to earn his way back into the main event picture. And this was a big turning point for him. So
dare I say this was a large performance.
God damn it.
Well, it's the large performance.
Watch the large performance give commentary on AEW Dark Elevation and restaurant quality picture in picture.
Good Lord. All right, what's next?
We got Jamie Noble defending the Cruiserweight Championship against Tajiri.
Oh, such a good match.
Oh, yeah.
Such a good match.
We've sung his praises before, but if you've seen one damn good Noble match, this is another good damn good Noble match. Everything you could have expected from this, very high-paced action. If there was one thing I noticed from him, that's for sure, Noble loves power bombs. And he performs such clean and swift and smooth power bombs throughout this match. He could definitely pull off that spot where they'd be running around the ring. Someone would try to go for a Hurricane Rana, and he could easily just flip it and boom, hit a power bomb right then and there.
Jamie Noble is a wrestler's wrestler. What I mean by that is he's got the psychology down pat. There's a reason why he's one of the best producers in WWE right now. he's got, you know, the technique down flat. Like you said, always smooth, consistent in-ring work. And he always has his character down flat. I completely thought when I was growing up, hook, line, and sinker, that he owned a trailer and he actually lived in it with Nydia. Like, I bought it.
Yeah. A little off topic, but something I definitely noticed in this match, you can 100% tell that Cameron Grimes took inspiration from Jamie Noble.
Oh my God, I never even thought about that, but you're totally right. You are totally
Neither did
right.
I. And then during this
Cameron
match,
Grimes,
it just immediately clicked.
Yes, Cameron Grimes is basically just Jamie Noble without Nydia. Like,
yeah,
that's what he is.
And didn't they do an angle next year where Noble and Nydia came into some money and they became rich too?
Yep.
Boom. There you go.
Wow, the parallels are certainly there. Jamie Noble, we can praise him all day, but not to be overlooked is Tajiri, also the challenger, or Tajiri, as Jamie Noble called him.
Oh yeah,
I always loved how he pronounced
babyface
that.
though. This was Tajiri's first babyface run in WWE.
Actually, when he came in as William Regal's henchman, he was a babyface then. I think.
Was he? Was Regal babyface then?
I'm pretty sure. Tajiri came in like right before the invasion angle.
Yeah, I do remember Regal and Tajiri teaming up. I just don't necessarily remember if they were babyface or not.
And Tajiri's
definitely have to look at that when I feel like watching that
Tajiri's
pay-per-view ever again.
Tajiri's definitely a better babyface than people give him credit for. They were into his offense, stiff, lethal kicks. They don't call him the Japanese buzzsaw for nothing. Really beautiful handspring elbow. He blocks in the tarantula at one point, which is speaking of illegal maneuvers, because it's a submission in the ropes and it never wins any matches. I'm like, it's cool, but I mean, why bother doing it?
You can't do much with it.
Right. Yeah. But so Tajiri hits they wrestle for a bit. It's beautiful. Jamie Noble's selling is on point. He gets hit with a tornado DDT and it just looks awesome. Tajiri hits him with a roundhouse. Looks like he's gonna get the 3 count, but Nydia distracts the referee by kissing him, of course. Because of course she does.
Yeah.
Jamie Noble then hits him with a Tiger Bomb, his finisher, and Tajiri kicks out. Creative finish. Even though Tajiri came out of the finisher, Nydia trips up Jamie Noble as he goes for a power bomb, and that allows him to roll up Tajiri, and it gets the 3. 3 1/4, maybe even 3 1/2 if I'm being nice. It was a very good match. The crowd was just dead for it, which sucked. But
yeah, I definitely give it 3 1/4 stars. It was fast and furious from start to finish. And again, not to discredit it, but I feel like in 2002, if you've seen one great cruiserweight title match, you've kind of seen them all. But that doesn't discredit that this match was pretty good. What happened after the match was pretty odd though, and it would kind of feed into my theory that Noble definitely had a kink. Tajiri goes and kisses Nydia, and Noble's not mad that Tajiri just kissed his girlfriend. He's mad that he kissed her badly. He immediately goes up to Tajiri and says, "What are you doing? That's not how you kiss a woman. This is how you kiss a woman." And I'm just like, Noble, if that's your thing, that's totally fine. I'm not here to judge, but definitely not what I was expecting. And he's done this before in the past.
We've definitely talked about this before. We've talked about this weird kink that
and then
character has.
When Noble is distracted because he's going to go show Tajiri how you actually kiss a woman, Tajiri connects with the buzzsaw kick. And I thought that was a little fun, way to put Tajiri over.
And then that's it. Tajiri just leaves. His music plays and he acts like he won, but yeah. Before we get into this next little segment, my friends, great cruiserweight match there. We see Chris Benoit backstage approach Eddie Guerrero. And he tells him that Kurt Angle is beating up Chavo backstage, who, as most wrestling fans know, is Eddie's nephew. This was so funny. So Benoit takes Eddie over to where allegedly Kurt was beating up Chavo, and you do hear Chavo behind a door, and it sounds like he's getting the snot beat out of him.
And
Eddie wants no part of
Eddie
this.
Goes.
No. Like, also what he does is he looks at Chris Benoit and he's like, "You think that's gonna fool me, Holmes? That's a little girl's voice, sissy." And it's clearly Chavo Guerrero.
The door opens. and door opens. Chavo is beaten on the ground. Angle was there.
It was Kurt Angle.
This is a continuation from it was a continuation from a segment on SmackDown where Los Guerreros did the same thing to Benoit and Angle, where they, kind of tricked them so they could beat them up. But the funniest part was just Eddie's promo, how he was just like so exasperated, saying, "That's not Chavo, I know Chavo's voice. That's a little girl's voice." Just to find out his nephew's getting the shit kicked out of him, and Eddie did nothing.
God bless Eddie Guerrero's soul, guys. And this was
Cannot
also
wait
the
for Survivor
start.
Series.
This was also the start of the amazing Los Guerreros team as well. In that tag team title tournament. So great stuff there. Great comedic material. Now, ladies and gentlemen, strap in because we're gonna rant about this for a little while. The next up, Triple H versus Kane, World Heavyweight Champion versus Intercontinental Champion, winner take all. Now, Tomas and I have a lot to
not just winner take all. Winner take all. Bischoff says, that makes my blood boil to this day. One show, one champion.
Dumb.
What Bischoff means by that, he doesn't want an Intercontinental Champion. He doesn't want the Intercontinental Championship that has been in the WWE for years and years and years, pioneered by the late, great Pat Patterson, which has garnered so many fantastic, memorable matches, like Ricky the Dragon Steamboat versus Macho Man Randy Savage at WrestleMania 3, like, the controversial Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Owen Hart for the Intercontinental title at SummerSlam, was that?
Yeah, SummerSlam 97,
97, I want to say.
Yeah.
The classic ladder match for the Intercontinental title between Shawn Michaels and Razor Ramon. And Bischoff feels that championship is irrelevant and it should not be in the show anymore.
Dumb.
If you have one championship with all of these guys, not everybody can go for the world championship. You have to have another level there for, the Intercontinental title is designed to get other people over. It's kind of like a stepping stone to that main event status. And if Bischoff is just here to, I know it's not Bischoff in real life, but, we see this, reasoning. It was probably Vince, it was probably WWE, WWE in general. If you eliminate the Intercontinental title, then you, I'm sorry to say this, but you have a lot of guys sitting backstage with their thumbs up their asses because only one or two people can be in the world championship picture. And if we're in the middle of the reign of terror, who the hell's going to get over if there's no Intercontinental title?
Yep. Thankfully, this is something that would be fixed, but over the next few months or so, actually, it was like a whole school year that the Intercontinental title was out of the picture.
Yeah.
Which sucks. It's dumb.
Well into 2003.
Yep, and to make matters even worse, Tomas, it doesn't help that this match was triggered by the infamous Katie Vick angle. I'm sure every wrestling fan knows about this horrendous offensive angle. Kane was on top of the world, man.
Yeah. We need to get into the build of how he got here. Kane just comes back. He's winning titles. He's randomly kissing Terry Runnels, which I am confused by that.
Chicks dig the mask.
He wins the Intercontinental title. Yeah. He wins the Intercontinental title. He says he's happy. Here comes this piece of shit Triple H. Why would you do that to someone? That's what bugged me in this angle. First, that's one of the many things that bugged me. Imagine, you're at your job and you overhear your coworker saying, "Man, for the first time in a while, I'm happy." Would you go out of your way to dig up a personal traumatic experience that they had just to bring them down? Triple H, you're an asshole.
He's a bully.
You.
He is a bully.
He is.
And he basically...
I never realized that until now.
For those of you not familiar with it, this is like... We're going to rip this off like a Band-Aid, but... Basically, the angle was Triple H comes out and he brings up the name Katie Vick from Kane's past, which really messes with the lore of Kane that we've learned up to this point.
Yeah.
And
it humanizes Kane.
Yeah.
This big monster demon that we've been told is Undertaker's long-lost brother who killed their parents in a fire is now has a girlfriend?
Yeah, he had a girlfriend growing up in high school that apparently he accidentally, got too drunk, and Katie was drunk as well, and he got behind a car to drive her home, and the car crashes, Katie Vick dies, but Kane survives. Like, and I don't want to get into the most offensive part of the angle. There's a reason why they didn't show that shit in the video package, because Triple H was apparently so disgusted by it. But yeah, bad angle.
You know what? And I will just say, I know we always like to say, like, oh, you young kids that no. Everybody knows what we're talking about.
Yeah, one of the most infamous.
Everybody knows what we're talking about.
Horrible angles in not just 2002, but the entire wrestling history books. Like, Katie Vick has a spot in wrestling history as being one of the worst things to ever happen on television. Like,
Claire Lynch ain't got shit on Katie Vick. Let's just put it that way.
Right. Yeah. Easily the worst angle Kane's ever been a part of. And there's another one that we'll talk about once we get to 2004. But that definitely contests against that. But now we get to the actual match. This is like the third straight rant on this. The whole build, retiring the IC title. Then you get the match itself, and it's so boring. Like,
it is. Going into this pay-per-view, I remember thinking, like, okay, the build was terrible. Okay, the title unification was stupid. But I remember being like, it's Triple H and Kane. How bad can it be? It was bad.
It wasn't
boring.
It was long, and Triple H had the heat for too long. Like,
he did. I just remember dozing off at one point during this match because nothing was happening.
Yeah, it really.
Your run-of-the-mill Triple H, 2002, 2003, not squash match, but they gave me no reason to be invested in this match.
It was, it was slow. It was just, I really struggled to get through this one. So Ric Flair runs in basically, and God. So what happens is Triple H nails Kane with the belt after Earl Hebner takes one of a million ref bumps in this. He nails Kane with the title, and there's another referee that comes in, I think, and Kane kicks out. Hurricane runs in, random tag team alert, Tomas, former tag team champions Kane and the Hurricane. He comes out, evens the odds for his friend, and he beats up Ric Flair. And then Triple H just comes out and he pedigrees Helms on the floor.
The best part of this match was how Helms sold that pedigree. Oh. Someone who was not even in the match was the best part of this match.
No, poor Hurricane, man. But yeah, Kane.
And then we get into this really stupid part where Triple H has the sledgehammer, and then Kane is able to get the sledgehammer from him, and then they do the thing where Triple H is begging for mercy, and Kane is holding the sledgehammer over his head for like a million years, and then Triple H low blows him. And I'm just like, not only does that make Kane look stupid, it's just like, you hit him. If you want to hit him so bad, Kane, hit him.
Right.
And Triple H pedigrees him, and that's the end of the match.
Well,
if I'm being very generous, a 1.5 stars.
Yeah, this gets a 1.5 stars from me as well. But even then, to get back to your point, Kane was booked like a fucking geek in this. He was such a geek. Like, not only did he hold the sledgehammer over his head too long, and he just didn't hit Hunter at all, he hits like 2 or 3 choke slams on him, one of which went through the announce table. And even that doesn't put Triple H away. He doesn't, obviously, it's not false count anywhere. You can't pin him on the outside, so I'll give him a pass for that. He rolls him back in, he hits another choke slam, and the ref's down, but he goes to pin him. Wake the ref up, Kane. Wake him up.
So, yeah, Triple H, Kane gets all this offense just to get, again, made to look like a geek. It clearly has the advantage with the sledgehammer. But Triple H just hits him with a low blow, hits him with the pedigree, and Triple H wins. We talked about, RVD's momentum. Kane's momentum got fucking... If
Squish.
Kane was a plane, it would have just into the dirt and just...
Well, it crash landed once the name Katie Vick was brought into the mix. Let's be real here. But, even then, even with the build,
Exactly.
like the worst angle in
that's what
wrestling
makes me mad
history.
about the Reign of Terror.
Like,
They could have somehow gotten a decent match out of this, but they didn't. It was bad.
It was really
It
not
was
good.
bad.
And the Reign of Terror matches would not get any better after this.
No, and that's the thing that makes me mad about the Reign of Terror. It's one thing to put Triple H over, but to absolutely fucking destroy everyone's pushes and momentum is what gets to me. RVD, Kane, Booker T.
We're not done.
Kevin Nash. We'll get more and more to this as the months go on.
Yeah.
But that's what makes me mad.
Again,
it's not Triple H going over. It's not even necessarily Triple H's fault. It's everyone's pushing momentum. It's not like it's kind of like when people say you make a mistake, it doesn't just affect you, it affects everyone around you too. And that's exactly, Triple H's push affected everyone around him.
Yeah, it really did. And this was sadly, like we said, not the end of the Reign of Terror. And just a reminder, because I got to do it every single retro pod, we would not probably have gotten, I'm so befuddled I can't even speak about this right now. We would never have gotten the Reign of Terror if you dweebs did not cheer for a part-timer beating Triple H at Backlash. Okay? Let's face it.
We all have Hogan to blame.
We all brought this on
ourselves. It's not Triple H's fault.
Yeah.
It's Hogan's fault.
We all brought this on ourselves because we were too excited to see Hulk Hogan become the champion. But, yeah, let's talk about some good stuff. I'm ready. I'm ready to praise this show now.
Oh, yes. This is where it gets good. While Raw is dropping a title, SmackDown is gaining a title.
Yep.
For the first time ever, SmackDown gets the WWE Tag Team titles. We have the culmination of this pretty good tournament. And in the finals, we have Kurt Angle and Chris Benoit, as we have discussed, have been feuding for a while. But they have been put into a tag team. And was this at the point where Stephanie said, you guys need to, if you guys put a hand on each other outside of a match, you both will be indefinitely suspended?
Yep.
Because that was the angle, that was the thing they were running, that Angle and Benoit could not touch each other because they were out of control.
Because Steph was also looking for ratings because she said, I want the best tag team division possible. And so she stuck Angle and Benoit together. But also, don't overlook Edge and Mysterio because they were a great team. I loved them.
Oh, absolutely not. Edge and Rey Mysterio, kind of a makeshift team themselves, but they worked. They definitely worked.
Absolutely.
And you want to talk about iconic matches that are memorable? This match right here. Benmont, Angle versus Mysterio and Edge for the tag team titles.
This match was so unbelievable. Match of the night for me. And I would honestly argue that this is WWE's whole match of the year for 2002 because these four went in there and they did every single combination possible that they could within their confines because it's a tag team match. And they just went out there for however long this match went, at least 15 minutes, and they were hitting each other with some of the highest octane offense you could possibly imagine. Edge was tossing Rey Mysterio all over the ring, and he was hitting Frankensteiners on Benoit off the top. Angle and Rey's psychology. Go ahead.
Just for reference, 22 minutes.
And they even better.
Crushed it. All 22 of those minutes.
It flew by. It did not feel like 22 minutes. It was delightful.
Oh, no.
But we do get some really awesome psychology early on between Kurt Angle and Rey Mysterio. Angle's toying with this poor little pipsqueak, just slapping the back of his head. And then Rey Mysterio out wrestles him, returns the favor, and he slaps the head of Angle's bald dome, which was awesome.
I love that spot.
Yeah,
I feel like Angle and Mysterio did that spot a lot.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Angle did not like Rey Mysterio in character. But we do get heat on Edge for a little bit. Rey Mysterio gets the hot tag, and that's another thing. There were two hot tags for the baby faces. Rey got a chance to run wild, and then Edge got a chance to run wild for this exciting finale. Chris Benoit also can't overlook him, despite what he did at the end of his life. He was on another level in this match. He counters out of a code red into a crossface. He's catching the 619 into a sharpshooter, I believe. I mean, it was so good. Kurt Angle hits a belly to belly off the top on Rey Mysterio, just launching him into the upper deck. Loved it. And then Edge gets the hot tag, and it gets even better.
Oh yeah.
Like Edge-o-matics all over the place, executions, spears. You get everything. Edge is pinning Kurt Angle at one point. Chris Benoit is going for the diving headbutt. Edge moves out of the way just in time, and Benoit accidentally nails his partner with the diving headbutt. I love that spot. And they did that a few times, actually. I believe they wrestled on free TV in a 2 out of 3 falls match. Benoit did that same spot. It was awesome. Awesome.
Oh, yeah, and we'll definitely bring that up, too. We'll definitely bring that match up, too, when we get to Survivor Series.
Yes. Yeah, 2 out of 3 falls. Angle, Benoit versus Edge and Mysterio. But the ending of the match comes around, and it's Kurt and Edge in the ring, and they're exchanging ankle locks. I believe Edge's knee was being worked over all this match as well. Kurt puts Edge in the ankle lock. He rolls through. Edge gives an ankle lock of his own, and Angle's foot is going the other direction. It's gruesome. Then he flips through. Edge is in the ankle lock for at least a minute, and he taps out. Angle and Benoit are the first, technically, the Raw Tag Team Champions. If we're under this lineage, it's under the same lineage, carrying it over. But, but they're the first ones to hold
that
this title.
That was also a shock that the heels went over in this match. It kind of honestly, how they handled the NXT women's tag team titles just a couple of weeks ago reminds me of this, because Angle and Benoit ended up winning the tournament and winning the titles just to drop the titles to Edge and Mysterio just a couple of weeks later on SmackDown in that aforementioned 2 out of 3 fall match that you brought up. Just like how later on Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez were awarded the tag team titles just to drop them the same night to the current champions Ember Moon and Shotzi Blackheart. So again, noticing parallels that
absolutely
again, Triple H, who lived this era, is probably implementing into his own product now, which is pretty damn cool.
Seeing what works, and he's sticking with his guns, my friend. But I gave this match a perfect 5 stars. Like I said, this is my personal match of the year for 2002. Definitely up there. Top 3 goes Rock Hogan at Mania, Triple Threat at Vengeance, and then this one. I loved it. It was absolutely delightful for 22 minutes.
All 4 men really brought it in this match. And it's one of those matches that I remember to this day, as a kid, not only watching it live, just every single Rey Mysterio compilation I was able to get my hands on brings up this match. And, it's one of those memories. It's one of those childhood memories that and another match that we will watch at Survivor Series involving Los Guerreros is another fantastic match that I can't wait to relive.
Oh, for
but
sure.
No, I give this one 4.5 stars, and this is my match of the night. I was teetering, but when we get to the end, I think I will be more than justified in, picking this as the match of the night.
Yeah, I had to be honest with myself in the 5 stars because it was just on another realm. The fluidity of the wrestling, just untouchable. Any other match in the year 2002, you will not find more like smooth technical wrestling than in this match. All right,
mixed with high flying, mixed with close spots, mixed with storytelling,
the drama,
the whole
the build, the finish. Also, like to your point, either team could have won, and it was slightly a surprise back in the day that the heels went over, but yeah. Again,
just to drop the titles to Edge and Mysterio a couple weeks later, but still, like in the history books, well, WWE won't bring it up, but in the official history books, Angle and Benoit are the first ever Raw or SmackDown tag team titles. Definitely the way you want to, the way you want to look at it.
Yeah, but beautiful match, and then we go into some filler between that amazing match and the main event. It's Trish Stratus defending the women's title against Victoria, which is the first time we're mentioning that name on one of these retros.
You know what? You say it's filler, but it's some good filler.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Definitely some good filler.
This was definitely they were in the death spot though. Like, because how do you follow the match of the year? Like, how do you do that?
Exactly. Real quick, when Trish Stratus was making her entrance, I noticed WWE pulled back on the camera because someone was crossing through that entranceway when they weren't supposed to. And I was thinking, wait, who? I didn't know Trish Stratus was accompanied to the ring by anyone in this match. No, it was a botch. Someone was there when they went in. Shouldn't have been. Someone got fired that night.
Whoops. There you go. But I think we'll go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, Trish Stratus and Victoria, they were wrong era. Wrong era. You put them in an environment like today, they would fucking tear it up and they would get 15 minutes. Unfortunately, again, bogged down by shitty circumstances.
Yeah, shitty circumstances, wrong time period, and they just didn't get enough time to work, really. And again, they were in the death spot between the match of the year and the main event, which we'll talk about. But there was some pretty good wrestling for the time they were given. Victoria was showing off a lot of athleticism. This is her first time on pay-per-view, mind you, so she had to make a good impression here. I mean, Trish is hitting the stratosphere on Victoria and the chick kick, and basically not really much else to the match. They wrestle for no more than 5 minutes. She tries a stratisfaction. Victoria reverses it, and Trish lands on her feet, and she actually scores a pinfall win with a victory roll. And I actually really like that because they still want Victoria looking strong.
Yeah. Now, again, if this would have happened in 2021, you could see fans getting upset. Hell, honestly, I'd probably be upset. You have this big, new, monsterish type of heel woman that the WWE is not really used to seeing, aside from Jazz or China, and they don't put her over. But as we'll see in Survivor Series, they put Victoria over. They just had to get past this hump so we can get to the real match coming at Survivor Series.
Yes, and I can't wait to talk about that. That was a really fun memory I had growing up watching women's wrestling, at least. But I was like, oh, they can actually do their thing. This is awesome. But I gave the match 1.5 stars, maybe 1.75 stars. This was better than Triple H versus Kane.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Better than Triple H versus.
Yeah, I think I'll have to match your 1.75 stars. The girls did good in this match, just unfortunately not given enough time.
Right. Yeah, but yeah, they had to save time for our main event, Tomas, and I know you have a lot to say about this.
In your main event, we get the actual WWE Championship match. Brock Lesnar defending against The Undertaker inside Hell in a Cell. I've brought it up before in the Unforgiven podcast. That match was good, but I just don't think it did Lesnar and Taker justice. No. That match was there just so we can get to this match.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because the match in Unforgiven didn't have a finish, basically.
Yeah, and we also get some weird build going into this match that honestly, I don't think this match needed it.
Yeah. You have this chick named Tracy who's coming in basically as a ploy from Brock and Paul Heyman to play mind games with Taker, but she's accusing Taker of using her for sexual advances or she was basically throwing a bunch of allegations on him, but there's an issue. Yeah. Tracy was a heel, and she was treated as a heel. This would not fly today. Yeah. That would not fly.
No. This whole thing, I don't think WWE would ever run a Me Too angle because it's not something you take very light of. And like you say, you believe the victims. And this was not a case of, even though she was outed by Stephanie McMahon earlier in the show that she was lying, and this was a whole ploy by Heyman and Lesnar. Again, it's very tacky. Tacky to say the least.
Yeah, I'll tell you what wasn't tacky is Undertaker actually entering this match with a broken hand, because Brock at one point was brawling with him in the background, and he nails him with the propane tank. And Taker,
and that was the infamous Falls Count Anywhere match between Undertaker and Matt Hardy, where Lesnar helped Hardy get the pinfall.
Yeah, he absolutely did, and Taker was selling that broken hand like nobody's business, and he's allowed to enter the cell with the famous Cowboy Bob Orton-esque cast, and he's allowed to use it as a weapon, And Paul
Which
Heyman does not take
is
too kindly to
weird
that.
because why would Taker not be allowed to use the cast? It's Hell in a Cell.
Right. Yeah, but they're
Yeah.
heels, you know. Um Man, this felt personal. This felt like it fit the Undertaker's theme song of "You've done it now, you've gone and made a big mistake," and he was going to make Lesnar pay
Now,
for his sins.
this match was not about, high spots. And, this was all about personal storytelling. This match was about storytelling. This is about the mind games. This is about, if ring psychology was a match, this would be the match. Because this whole match was basically centered around Lesnar getting that cast off of the Undertaker's arm. And, the work in the beginning was pretty solid, but the match really didn't get started until they got to the outside of the ring. And Taker is just pelting Lesnar with the chair. He's throwing him against the cage wall. And Paul Heyman is screaming bloody murder on the outside of the cell.
He
like
is
Lesnar is
pleading with Taker to stop.
Skinned alive.
Yes, he is pleading with Mark Calloway to stop the massacre. And Brock actually early on was kind of like, treating like it was almost like claustrophobia. Brock was the young champion, inexperienced, and he's never been in this environment before, and he's trying to find his way out. He doesn't want any part of the Hell in a Cell anymore, and they sold it. There's no way out, and they went on and they battered each other for a while.
I will say there was one spot that I get what Taker was trying to do, but a man his size, I just don't think can pull off the spot. He was trying to do old school off the top rope, or not old school, his leg drop off the top rope onto the apron.
Yeah.
But he kind of just fell, and Cole called it a flying knee, but it wasn't. It just kind of looked like
it felt like Taker slipped on the ropes.
Changed his mind. Yeah, it looked like he changed his mind halfway down. Like I can do this. Like, no, I can't.
It's like he got cold feet, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
From trying that spot. Well, he also, the cell is, the roof is considerably lower. It's not as tall as it is today. So, I mean, if Taker were to, if the cell were like it is today back then, Taker would have most certainly tried that leg drop. Would have definitely had the room.
Yeah.
But I think that might have played a factor into it as well. But to your point, Taker is beating the shiznits out of Brock Lesnar on the outside. Who doggy Brock is bleeding on the outside after he hits him with a cast. And Paul Heyman, to your point, is begging Undertaker to stop. He pins Brock for 2 on the floor. All cell matches should be false count anywhere, by the way.
Yeah. Remember when they used to do that?
They should change that. Yep. So, Taker was dominating the early part of this match. And
then Taker just decides he is tired of Heyman screaming and crying, and he decides to kick Heyman in the face from the cell, knocking him out. Heyman gets the blood job, and then he's bleeding like the proverbial stuffed pig, as JR would say.
Oh, man, it was a lot.
This is where,
this felt like hell.
This is where the match gets, this is where the match gets really ugly, because Heyman comes to and he hands Lesnar his belt, the belt for his pants, and he ties Taker's arm to the cell wall, and then Heyman starts screaming, "You're gonna die, Undertaker. This is where you die." And that's where I was just like, take it down a notch.
And that, Paul Heyman
down a notch for sure.
Saying that while also looking the way he did in that moment, this cell match legitimately felt like a horror movie, and it came out on Halloween. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Lesnar repeatedly bashes Taker, his bad arm that's trapped in the cell wall with the cast. He repeatedly bashes it with a steel chair. And you remember during the Fastlane pod where Chris said that he really enjoys the matches where you can feel the pain? I felt it. I felt it there.
Oh, yeah.
Never want to break my hand.
In that image of Lesnar just going to town on Taker's arm, and you just hear Taker screaming in the background, that's another just iconic moment of this show that will always be engraved in my brain.
Yes, and Taz perfectly describes this. He called this disturbing. Taz is correct. If you've ever seen this match, you'll definitely agree with him. Um, but there was a point. So this is also the point where Brock rips the cast off. So Taker hand completely exposed. Brock is stomping on his hand, and then he tries something that I distinctly remember seeing photos of this match because, like I said, I didn't watch it live. But Brock hangs off of the truss on the roof of the cell from the inside like monkey bars, and then he kicks Taker over and over again. And I thought that was just really cool. Like, it was almost like you're playing with
Yeah,
action
the cell ceiling definitely hindered the superstars back in the day, but you did get some cool moments like that.
Yeah, yeah. If it hindered superstars back in the day, Brock figured out a way to use it to his advantage.
Yeah.
and then there was a point where Taker boots Brock into the cell wall, starts to make a little bit of a comeback, and Paul Lee screams, "We're losing! We're losing! Brock, please!" And I'm like, yeah, I loved that. I love that. Taker hits a
Yeah.
tope suicida. When do you see that? You never see Undertaker hit the tope suicida. But
Vintage dead man.
yeah, Undertaker goes to hit Brock with the stairs. He can't lift the stairs because of his bum hand. Brock capitalizes and nails Taker in the face with the stairs. And Taker, my God, is bleeding everywhere. It is quite the sight.
And another thing I enjoyed about the storytelling of this match is that they were really playing it off in the match and on commentary that once Taker loses his cast, it's game over for him. Kind of like the cast was a saving grace for him. Because if you noticed, once Lesnar started ripping it off, that's when he started saying, like, no, if the Taker's nothing without that cast, and Taker, fighting, basically getting that adrenaline. And that was another, I'm not saying commentary nowadays is bad because it's not.
No.
But I kind of miss the days like this where the commentary would just focus on one single point of the match. And that was the whole story of the match. And that was one thing Taz really went into, saying that, Taker's hand has probably just been so busted up at this point that he can't feel it. And he's going off of pure adrenaline. And I feel like that is a very good way to explain why Taker isn't, can't use his arm.
And to that point, I believe they also ran an angle prior to the match where Undertaker was in the trainer's room and he demands the doctor inject a syringe. I don't know exactly what the substance was in there, but it was like a numbing device so that he couldn't feel the pain in his hand. And he's like, if you want me to make it through this match, you got to give me this medicine, doc.
Yeah,
that's basically
But yeah, it was just peak Michael Cole and Taz storytelling in this match with that device that basically, zeroing in on that one point and having the whole match revolve around said point. And, early on in the match, when Lesnar started to rip that off, you saw Taker immediately jump into adrenaline mode and just start throwing, lefts and right, and Taker lefts and rights at Lesnar, because Taker knew psychologically, if I lose this cast, it's game over for me.
Yes. Oh, it's almost like if this is going to be a strange little analogy, but it's almost like if Brock is inside of a kayak with Paul Heyman and Undertaker is swimming on the side of the kayak and he's hanging on with a life jacket on. The cast was essentially the life jacket, and Brock forces it off.
Yeah.
Taker's trying so desperately to hold on, but it's great storytelling. He eventually can't. Not to bury the lead. Before we get to that, though, Brock hits Taker in the head again with the stairs, which was disgusting. And you want to talk about great Paul Heyman moments. Brock high tens Paul Heyman through the mesh, and Paul actually sells the high 10. I love that.
Yes.
I don't know why. It's a tiny little thing,
yes.
but I was like, I love that little detail.
Also, I'm pretty sure you appreciated the part where Brock Lesnar tried to go for the last ride.
Oh, of course I did. Of course I did. He motions for the last ride, and the Taker flips him out of it. He starts to make a comeback, and then he stomps on Brock's hand. So metaphorically, technically, Tomas, this is also under eye for an eye match rules. But in any case,
hand for a hand.
A hand for a hand, if you're thinking literally. But Taker hits the choke slam, and it's a great near fall. This is actually the point where Brock motions for the last ride. Taker hits a DDT, and I notice at this point that there's blood all over the canvas. And I'm like, this legit looks like a freaking Belko experiment horror scene. Like, just absolutely gruesome. If this was a TV MA show, like, because of this match, wouldn't surprise me.
Oh, yeah.
But Brock tries the 10 corner punches, even though he's a heel, and that's a babyface move. And Taker does catch him with the last ride. I was so happy. So happy there was at least that move in there. But Lesnar grabs the ropes just before 3. If it's no disqualification, why is he grabbing the ropes? That's my one nitpick. That's my one nitpick. Why are there rope breaks?
Good old 2019 Money in the Bank, Shane McMahon versus The Miz inside a steel cage.
Oh, God, don't remind me. But yeah, ending comes around. Undertaker tries the tombstone, which was a rare move back then. Lesnar flips out of it, somehow gets him up for the F5, and he pins him with one F5. Mercifully, it's over. And after the match, he climbs to the top, triumphantly holds up the title, and Michael Cole asks who can stop this guy. We'll get to that. But
you're probably going to be you're probably going to be surprised when I say this, but I gave the match 4 stars. Not saying the match was bad. The match was very good. Just looking back on it, because I actually just finished this pay-per-view a couple hours before we started recording. Looking back on it, the beginning was a very, 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 very good. But I don't know. I just feel like it kind of trailed off in the end. Like it didn't end as strongly as it started.
You think it kind of You think it kind of went over long? Like the overstayed its welcome?
Not that it went too long. Is that the weapons got introduced very early in the match. Like, it was kind of like a sandwich. You got a plain piece of bread, all the really amazing, delicious stuff in the middle, and then you got another piece of bread. Kind of like, it didn't end as strongly as it was in the middle. Like, it kind of like, it peaked. The match peaked a little too soon.
It was
I feel like the match
valley.
Peaked. Yeah, the match peaked after Lesnar was doing all the hand stuff.
Oh, for
sure. And then, this is still one of my favorite Hell in a Cell matches. Not my favorite, not the best, but I just feel like looking back on it, like, again, just like you said, with Honor with the 5 stars, I got to be honest with myself. And, again, very good match. Fantastic match, just not as good as I remember it being. As weird as that sounds.
This is definitely one of my favorite Hell in a Cell matches. I still have a lot of fun rewatching this still to this day. Not my favorite Hell in a Cell match. My personal favorite is the very first one that Shawn Michaels and Undertaker had all those years ago. But still absolutely brutal. This is what Hell in a Cell should be. This is, it should only pop up if the feud needs it. Hell in a Cell is a pay-per-view. Don't do it as a pay-per-view. Only use it.
Yeah, not an obligatory, look who happens to be feuding in October, let's throw him in the cell. Like, that's lazy.
Yeah. This should be the type of stipulation that's the end-all, be-all of rivalries. Like the lights-out matches to AEW right now. Like, this is how it was back then. If a feud was getting way too personal, if a feud was getting way too out of control, an authority figure would come in and scream, "Hell in a Cell!" And that's what you would sell the pay-per-view on. Like,
it was the be-all, end-all. It's where feuds went to get settled. And
absolutely.
This was a feud that needed to get settled.
And absolutely brutal it was. And hats off to both guys. Brock had a great showing. Undertaker as well. Hats off to him as well. He put Brock over clean in the middle of the ring. I mean, not so clean because this is a bloody-ass match, but, like, I loved it. I loved it. No Mercy 2002, like I said earlier, this was a very underrated pay-per-view, I think. I gave it an 8. I can't go lower than an 8 because, like, you have a match that's in the 5-star range, match of the year for 2002, and a match that gets very close to 5 stars for me in the main event. And it had a good flow to it. I mean, I enjoyed the opener. The matches in the middle kind of but it had a good flow to it. I enjoyed it.
I'll have a little mercy on this show. I was going to give it a 6. But I think I'll give it a 6.75.
Okay. All right.
because
That's fair.
if, to be, what's the word I'm looking for? Consistent. If I'm looking at how I felt about Fastlane this past Sunday, and I feel like Fastlane in this show definitely okay, I'm gonna say this. Fastlane was bad. Not bad, not say bad. Fastlane had some bad matches. No Mercy just had some boring ones.
Yeah, like Triple H
between
and
Flair
Kane.
and RVD, between Triple H and Kane, between two filler women's matches. And, again, this was a 2-match card. And
Yeah.
all of that praise goes to the tag team title match and the Hell in a Cell match. Everything else was kind of just there.
Yeah. Yeah, it was, I don't know. Maybe I was too nice with this show, but I appreciated the work that everybody was doing. Triple H versus Kane was definitely a disappointment, but watch this show definitely for the Angle Benoit Edge Mysterio match, and watch it for the main event. Great stuff there. The SmackDown side especially killed it. Raw, not so much. Raw was kind of, on the fence for a while there, but thankfully they would give us some good stuff at Survivor Series, which we'll be talking about on the next retro. So, Tomas, as always, thank you so much for hopping on. It's always a good time bantering with you.
Same with you, my friend. Always enjoy. Again, love looking at these old pay-per-views and watching them evolve and knowing what we're going to get into next month. I'm looking forward to it.
Same. Look forward to Survivor Series 02. That's our retro next month. And as I mentioned at Fastlane, we got NXT TakeOver Stand to Deliver. And of course, we got 2 nights of WrestleMania this year. So stay tuned for all that and much more. As always, I've got all of my movie reviews as usual. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Give us a thumbs up on your way out. That would be delicious, especially. Yeah, I think that just about does it, my friends. And with all that being said, as always, Back Talk commence.